start our open study sessions here. First presentation tonight is the Northeast 76th Terrace Storm Drainage and Parking Improvements Update. Director Nevergall.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a project, as you know, that's been around for several years. And so I guess I'll start with a little bit of history. I guess I'll start with the development of the Hobby Hill Park and the construction of the Frisbee Golf area. As you heard last week from Director Murky, that is the most utilized disc golf course in the state of Missouri, which is totally cool. So thank you for that. Thank you, Councilman Garnos, for making that happen. But with that, we created some opportunities, some challenges, and things like that that we were able to incorporate into a much larger project. So I'll begin with just kind of an overview. 76th Terrace is just north of Aldi's. We're specifically looking at just west of North Oak Traffic Way and east of Hobby Hill Park. That roadway for many years has kind of been a quiet neighborhood with some challenges. Number one being stormwater. Stormwater would come off North Oak Traffic Way, continue down the channel behind the houses, and then make its way on down. So just to begin with, if you can see on your screen there, what I've done is I've taken a Google shot, an overview of the area. Actually, under the text there would actually be where Hobby Hill Park is, but the area that we're specifically looking at is just to the east. A parcel that the city acquired a couple years ago on the north side of Northeast 76th Terrace, adjacent to Hobby Hill Park. And then within a year of that, the city was able to acquire another two acre parcel on the south side of 76th Terrace. What that did is create some opportunities. It created some opportunities for stormwater. It created some opportunities for parking because it's been a real concern with a facility like the disc golf course. We get lots of traffic. There have been days where cars will be parked on 76th Terrace all the way from Hobby Hill Park along the street all the way to North Oak Traffic Way. So that golf course is utilized heavily. So when we put this project together, we were looking at really 5 major goals. We wanted to reduce the risk of roadway flooding. We wanted to construct a gate at a cave facility that's actually on one of these properties. We wanted to add additional parking for the Hobby Hill Golf Course. There was actually a safety concern behind 300 Northeast 76th Terrace that was identified by several members of council where several pipes converge, creating unsafe conditions. So we wanted to take care of that. And then we actually wanted to try to help the resident that lives at 102 Northeast 76th Terrace. If you'll see kind of on that last house on the north side of the roadway, if you can see that ditch on that picture, that ditch is probably within 20 feet of their back door. So if there's an opportunity to take care of that, we wanted to take care of that as well. Going the wrong way. So to start with roadway flooding, what would happen is stormwater would come off North Oak Traffic Way and from the east. It would travel through that open channel ditch to basically a ground formation, a cave type structure. And if that cave would become overwhelmed, the water would back up and it would actually flood 76th Terrace, and it would go to the southwest and go out through Hobby Hill Park. So Public Works would get a phone call during heavy rains that, hey, the roadway's flooding. It obviously would subside. In the past, it wasn't a big issue because there wasn't a lot of people utilizing that side of Hobby Hill Park. But with the addition of the golf course, we got more folks obviously using that way. So what we wanted to do is take care of that issue. So what we're looking at doing is kind of letting the water do what it wants to do. We're looking at replacing there's an existing 18-inch pipe that crosses under the road that's undersized. We want to replace that with a new 60-inch pipe. And then we've got another pipe that will actually route some stormwater to the cave, recognizing that the cave is a natural ecosystem and that a certain amount of water has always went to this cave facility. But during heavy storms, when that cave gets overwhelmed, now it can safely back up, go under the roadway, and safely go out through Hobby Hill Park. And that's what it's done for years and years and years. So you see 2 pictures up there. The first picture kind of shows, just kind of how it is now. The lines you see, the blue is basically the natural stream. So when it kind of goes up to the north and it just dead ends, that's the cave, and then or just the formation. And then to the south is where the stormwater system will go when it overflows. Down below, what you see is a picture of what the new system will look like when it's done, when the project's done. Continuing on that theme, we wanted to construct a wildlife-friendly gate. And what I mean by wildlife-friendly gate is bats. You know, caves are bat habitat, a habitat for amphibians. So we needed to put together a plan that, number one, made the opening safe, and that number two, was still accessible for wildlife like bats and that type of thing. And then number three, of course, we needed to let stormwater be able to infiltrate the cave as well. So what you see there is the top picture is basically the opening, the formation that I'm talking about. And then down below, two pictures. One is actually the engineering plan that was put out for bid. And then the picture down below is actually kind of what the gate structure will look like. What's interesting is there's guidelines for everything. As you can tell, we use the 2009 Agency Guide to Cave and Mine Gates. There's really such a thing, developed by the American Cave Conservation Association, the Bat Conservation International, and Missouri Department of Conservation. And through that process, we actually submitted these plans to the United States Fish and Wildlife, who's approved this plan. So I feel pretty good that we've got the environmental clearances that we need. Continuing on with that, Hobby Hill Park. Again, I mentioned the parking already. We were fortunate enough to get some extremely good bids. When we kind of went into this, we looked at a couple different options. We looked at a larger parking lot with 33 spaces. That's the big parking lot that you see below. That was kind of the goal. But we also put together kind of a smaller parking plan that if the funds just didn't fit. And what we came up with is kind of the combination of the two things that you see there. With the two parking lots and the head-end parking, there'll actually be 50 new parking spaces for the Hobby Hill Disc Golf. So a nice addition to the park. Next, I talked a little bit about this field inlet. The top picture actually shows kind of how the pipes converge. That's from the city's GIS system. It's kind of difficult to see, but if you see those three green pipes that kind of daylight into a T there, that is where three pipes converge. What we're looking at doing is actually installing a new field inlet there to connect all those pipes. It's behind a fence now. The property owners have actually put up a security fence or privacy fence around it. But when we're done with this project, we'll actually have a new 6x6 field inlet, so it won't just be a hole in the ground. And then last but not least, reduce the risk of flooding to that home at 102 Northeast 76th Terrace. So what we're looking at here is actually enclosing a portion of that channel behind that home and collecting a majority of that stormwater, not all of it, and then routing it over to a field inlet. And if you'll actually look, you'll see that pipe that points up coming out of that box, that is the water that will actually be routed to the cave. So what you're seeing there is kind of the two pictures. If you can kind of see it, they actually do a pretty good job of kind of showing how it kind of looks and how the new system will look, trying to get that stormwater away from the back of that house, protect it, provide them access. They call about once every 2 years, great folks, but they have a bridge that actually crosses that creek, and so they get significant erosion along that channel. So what we want to do is take care of that erosion and move that stormwater away from their back door. So with that, that's kind of the entire project. That's what the plans look like, but you can kind of see it all put together. The parking, the stormwater system, and then, of course, the geologic formation, the cave, is actually towards the north. So I feel like we've done a pretty good job of meeting our goals, identifying what needs to be done, and then, of course, incorporating council concerns as we kind of move through this. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions?
Tim, what are we looking at for timing?
So if the council chooses to award the contract tonight, we are looking at awarding the contract tonight. They've actually started on shop drawings, so I would say second week of February to start, and then try to be done by, I'm going to say, first part of May. So we're going to really push this to try to get it done. There's a couple of There's a couple of deadlines in here that we have to hit. Number one, since we are dealing with wildlife and bats in particular, our clearing has to be done by April 1st. So we have to have that done by April 1st. The only thing that may lag is actually the gate structure, and that's because that's bats too. I believe Fish and Wildlife is going to ask that we delay that till after June 1st for the different, life cycle of a bat. I don't even want to stand up here and act like I'm an expert on that. But yeah, so start second week of February, be done. I think the contract actually says June 1st, but try to meet that deadline.
So that gate doesn't, it's hard to tell by the pictures, but a person couldn't get through there.
No, so it'll be similar to like I think like a maximum like 4-inch opening, so a child can get his head in there. And then it's also set up too though that it actually has 2 removable bars. So you could actually theoretically, if someone ever came to the city and said, hey, we would like to explore that formation more, you could actually remove those bars and someone could access that if they wanted to. But no, it's set up to where someone could not enter through those bars.
Tim, with that timing, is there any implications of rainy season delaying it and stopping processing? Is that going to have any bad negative impact because of that?
It always could, but I will say this. I mean, the fact that we're starting early enough, I think is a good thing. What's interesting about this channel is it actually, it doesn't carry water all the time. That made the environmental permitting this much easier. So I mean, if we get a storm, there'll be an impact, but I'm not worried that we're going to get into spring and we're just going to be dealing with water for the entire project. So I don't expect any major weather delays.
Tim, what has been the communication with those neighbors?
I have actually reached out, the individual at 103 Northeast 76 Terrace, I'm actually meeting with him tomorrow. And then I haven't had a lot of communication upstream just because it hasn't really involved them as much, but we'll certainly reach out to them. One of the new things I want to do, and you might have seen this in your neighborhood, is I think we're going to try to start distributing a construction newsletter with projects and getting them out because folks are still, even the times that we get enough information on the website, not everybody gets their information from there. So we'll try to do a construction newsletter throughout the project and try to get that information out.
Actually, I was going to ask you if you were going to do the same thing that you did in my neighborhood, and that certainly helped because it was right on my front door. We knew exactly what was going on, so I think that's a good route to take.
I just comment, this solves a lot of different problems, has a lot of great benefits, but it does solve a couple of significant safety issues that we've been keeping our fingers crossed on for a long time. Both of them that this project will be addressing, and it's well worth it just to deal with the safety issues of the cave that we're stuck with, and that conjunction of those open sewer outlets. Those are both, it's hard to get excited about that part of it, but those have been significant safety issues for some time. I'd also suggest maybe reaching out to Mr. Bledsoe and letting him know, since that's kind of back on his, he moved. Okay.
Yeah, I fully expect that I will speak with him tomorrow as well. I believe that he sold his property, but he's still in the neighborhood. So meeting with the owner of 102 Northeast 76 Terrace, but Mr. Bledsoe will be part of that conversation.
Do you still have water running under Mr. Bledsoe's time machine?
I was out there today and the time machine is still there, yes. So it is still traveling under the time machine.
Thank you.
Are there any more questions for Tim? Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
All right, our next item on the agenda is our Atkins Johnson Farm Programming. Mary Newman, slowly make her way to the podium.
Thank you, and thank you for being patient. So quickly, just to touch on last year in review, Some of the highlights from the year were breaking the attendance record for the third year in a row with 13,885 people, up about 2,000 from the previous year. The Big Shoal Heritage Area Barn Project got approved. Thank you all so much for that. And it's now underway. We had 2 scout projects completed on the property last year. You can see up in the corner there Will Watson, who created a Linden library that's been very popular with neighbors. And we also had some of the benches on the property repaired from another scout. And it was also the kickoff for the Big Shoal Vintage Car Show, which the Friends put on. Very successful. So briefly, you can see the attendance numbers here again laid out a little more clearly. The 2025 program and events should be mostly familiar for you all. There's not a whole bunch of variation this year. We do have Mad Science camps coming in, which we're pretty excited for. Worked with them a little bit last year, but we should be expanding some programming. And then our Friends events are listed here. This includes both the museum events and the Big Shoal Farm events, which have been growing. Speaking of the Big Shoal Farm, we are going into the 6th season. Eugene already has his seeds ordered, so corn should be coming in from July to August on 4.5 acres, sunflowers on 1.25 acres, and the same for pumpkins. And the Sunflower and Pumpkin Field Festivals will be going on again. I do want to highlight the Sunflower Field Festival a little bit too, because in its 3rd year last year, it is now by numbers the largest event on the property with over 1,200 people. And then to kick off our exhibit season, we'll be starting with Sounds of the Nation and American Music History, which will focus on the musical movements throughout U.S. history, as well as instruments, recording devices, and the other ways we've been listening to music. After that is a traveling exhibit from the Missouri State Museum called Inherently Unequal, Segregated Education in the State of Missouri, and we'll be supplementing this one with local stuff as well. After that will be mourning in the Victorian era, focusing on the history of mourning in the mid-1800s through the early 1900s. And then finally our annual holiday choice display. So does anyone have questions for me?
Any questions?
I do. Mary, could you go back to the slide with the numbers,
Absolutely.
the attendance numbers, please? I mean, that's dramatic. From 21 to 22 and then on. So kudos to everybody involved to make that happen.
Thank you.
What would you say was the big driver from 3,500 to 11,500? I mean, that's just dramatic.
There's been several things. For one, the farmers market moved out that year, and that was definitely a big numbers drive. But we have gone through and analyzed to see if it's all farmers market numbers or not. And even when you take out the farmers market numbers, there's several thousand increasing per year from what we can tell. We're having more numbers come out at the vast majority of our events. There's been an increase in field trip programming, and in particular large groups. So those tend to stack up numbers pretty quickly. And then I also think it's just we've been getting the word out about the museum a little better in the last couple of years. Our followers are going up on both our Facebook page and the Friends Facebook page. We're getting a lot more repeat visitors. Bookmarks are going out into more community spaces, and it's just driving engagement.
Do the sunflowers and the corn and the pumpkins, is that a big driver of these numbers?
Absolutely. We've had plenty of people discover the museum solely because they're coming out for the sunflowers or to buy corn. They come in and see it, and they come back.
So are these numbers museum-only numbers, or are they the whole property?
It is most of the property. The one thing that's not included is Eugene tracks the crops separately because some of the locations are not on site. So this will include special events, programming, as well as museum-specific numbers, and people that are using other parts of the facility like the trail, or maybe they only come for a cemetery tour.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Mayor, since we have a few minutes, and I see people in the audience that I generally don't see, maybe this would be a good time for the city manager to give a quick update on the barn project.
Yes, please.
Yeah, as the last meeting, we actually ordered the barn kit because we had decided on the footprint. Although we have a basic idea of what the interior design is going to be, there's still some finishing touches to do on that. So we're moving kind of in that direction. The next step is that we've already got a survey of the property, and the next step is getting the site plan completed so we can start moving some dirt and making room for the structure that's going to go up. So.
Are we going to have a groundbreaking for that?
Well, we've been talking about it. We're not quite sure when the groundbreaking is going to be, but I think that'd probably be a fairly good idea. And I had talked to you at one time and said that it was my wish that the next goal setting, which would be in October of '25, would be held there. But I think I was a little optimistic, and so I've changed that to the next employee recognition lunch will be held there in January 26th. So that's my new goal.
That's a good goal.
Yeah.
We had the groundbreaking the second Tuesday in April.
Okay.
Just kidding.
Any other questions for Mary? Great job, Mary. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Looks like we have around 7 minutes until our meeting begins at 7:30. everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the regular city council meeting for Monday, January 27th, 2025, 7:30. Madam Clerk, please note all city council members are present and we have a quorum. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
For your attention, forward, march. Ready, halt. Madam Mayor, the colors are present. Post colors. Present arms. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order, arms.
I'd like to thank the members of the VFW Post 10906, Carla Gleaton, Gordon Harris, and Jim Zimmerman. It's good to see them tonight. Moving on, item number 4, approval of the agenda. Are there any changes or objections to the agenda?
Yes, Mayor. Staff would like to request item 10, Bill 2504, be removed from the agenda from this evening. We believe it would be beneficial for us to hold a dedicated study session on that proposed agreement before its reintroduction as a bill in front of council. We think it'll give a more thorough understanding of the MOU terms, and additionally it'll allow staff to address any questions council may have.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. I will accept a motion to accept an amended agenda for this evening.
Mayor Spallo.
Councilmember Moore.
I move to adopt the amended agenda with the removal of item number 10.
Second?
It has been motioned and seconded to approve the amended agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion stands. Item number 5, approval of the January 13, 2025 regular city council meeting minutes.
Mayor Spallo.
Councilmember Moore.
I move for the approval of the January 13, 2025 regular city council meeting minutes.
Second?
There is a motion and a second to approve the January 13, 2025 regular city council meeting minutes. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The regular city council meeting minutes from January 13th, 2025 stand approved as published. Next item is communications from the audience. Members of the public are invited to speak about any topic not listed on the agenda. While speaking, please state your name and address for the record and limit comments to 5 minutes. I'd like to speak. Larry.
Larry Newport, 108 Northeast 75th Street. I'd like to thank the city for the banquet we had Saturday. Appreciate the council being willing to pay for that. Thank you.
Welcome. Any other members of the audience? Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 7, communications from the city council. Councilman Davis.
Nothing this evening.
Thank you. Councilman Garnos.
Thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to mention we had a Parks and Recreation Advisory Board meeting last week that went well. We got updates on our projects. And then also wanted to just compliment finance staff on the format for the new monthly financial updates. They're great and way better. Easy to read, easy to understand, figure out the important points from us. So all good. So thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Moore.
I have nothing tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, Bill, absolutely, the format of the new financials matter just fantastic. Actually allows us to track it a lot better than we have in the past. We appreciate that. I had three things. I've been censored on one. So the other thing that I have is, City Manager, what is our, I know we've attended a couple of meetings, but where are we in preparation for the World Cup event in 26?
Yeah, we've had a couple meetings with Mark, and they've developed a portal, so we actually have a password and access to that portal, and I just checked that last week, and there hasn't been a whole lot of action on that as of yet. I have met with a representative from Clay County in hopes of maybe doing some cooperative type event during World Cup where they can pass that around through the different events through the different cities. And that's where we stand right now.
Have we anticipated a budget, any kind of budget amount going towards that?
Yeah, interesting enough, we've had discussions internally, and it was our plan to actually include that in our fiscal year 25 budget as a line item for that. I don't know what that consists of right now. I'm going to wait until I continue the conversations with Clay County to see what we think that's going to be. We also need to have some coordination regionally to find out how this overtime is going to be distributed equally amongst all the cities that will be required to send personnel to help with that event.
Yeah, as we're asking around, if we could try and determine if any other communities have some citizen-based committees that are working on their World Cup presence. We have a couple of great venues for watch parties and stuff. It's going to be a base camp, some country in Riverside. And then the folks over at Nick's, they have been anointed as the official winery of the state of Missouri, so they're tied into all the marketing that goes out internationally for the World Cup. A lot of it on Visit KC, a lot of it on the app Fever, and they have some great ideas of maybe how we can gather up some support and do some things in our community. In fact, if it comes to that and the council is willing to do that, Streety Clinton has offered to be at least the co-chair, if not the chair of that committee. Maybe something we can consider going forward.
I'd be happy to have that conversation.
That's all.
Thank you. Well, it is my pleasure tonight to present the checks for the Mayor's Christmas Tree Fund that ended at the end of the year this past December. I'd like to thank everyone who were very generous with their donations. We collected a little over $16,000 this year, and I'm glad to present those checks tonight. And I'd like to start with Gladstone Neighbors Helping Neighbors. Art. The final amounts for each charity is $5,407.37. So, congratulations. It's a wonderful opportunity to work with you, with Gladstone Neighbors Helping Neighbors, all the work that you do with the Neighborhood Commission regarding this, and all the help that we're able to generate throughout the year for our seniors and veterans mainly, to assist them in staying in their homes. It's very important to us, and we appreciate your leadership, Art, always.
Thank you, Mayor. On behalf of all of the people who will benefit from this, I'd like to thank both you and everyone who contributed to your fund this year. This money will go a long ways toward helping keep people in their homes longer who have a need. It's just one more example of how Gladstone is such a great place to live. Again, thank you.
You're welcome. Congratulations. Our next group is Feed Northland Kids. And I'd like to bring Mr. Darren Hennon up. Hi, Darren.
Hi.
It's nice to meet you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Again, $5,400 for Feed Northland Kids, a wonderful organization here in the Northland. It serves Clay County and Platte County. They provide food for our youth in the grade schools with their snack packs, plus they fill pantries in the high schools, and it's an everyday need for all of our kids to make sure that they're not coming to school hungry, because we know if they're hungry, they're not learning. So congratulations, and thank you for chairing this wonderful organization.
Absolutely, thank you. And as was already mentioned, our mission, I'd like to be up here one day and tell you it's never going to be, we can go out of business, but we're not. With the economy the way it's been and inflation, probably more so now than ever, this is an important contribution, and we're so very thankful and grateful for you counting us in this year.
Absolutely, it's my pleasure.
Absolutely, thank you.
Sure, we'll give you a real one here.
Okay.
All right, and finally, the Northland Christmas Store, Mr. Larry Gardner.
Yeah.
Hello, sir, how are you? Good to see you. So here we go. So the Northland Christmas Store is, honestly, it's my favorite charity, one that I've been involved with for years, and am so proud to stand here with Mr. Larry Gardner, our chairman. And we assisted over 800 individuals this year through the store, and another 280 senior citizens that we delivered goods directly to their homes. It was a very, it was a great year. Very successful.
It was.
Thank you.
I'm humbled to receive this on behalf of the Northland Christmas Store. Our efforts were successful again this year. Of course, I had a great mentor right here who has taught me well on the ins and outs of making this organization touch so many needed people here in the community, as been stated twice prior. So thank you all for making this possible. This buys an awful lot of kids' toys and a lot of toiletries for the people that need them so desperately. Thank you so much, and thank you.
Thank you. Those are the fun things that we get to do as a city council and as a city, and to be able to help our charities is fantastic. But it all comes down to the community, and there are several people in this room that donated this year, and we certainly appreciate that. Next item number 8, communications from our city manager. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. I only have one thing, and it's a reminder as I'm driving down the road. I remind myself that the potholes are a lot more prevalent this time of year due to the winter weather, the freezing, the thawing, the refreezing, and then the snowplow damage. So to report a pothole on a Gladstone Street, we ask that you visit the Public Works page on the city website and actually report that pothole. And I want to remind everybody that M1 Highway is maintained by the Missouri Department of Transportation, and I think that's important for everybody to know. We're happy to pass it on, but that's their maintenance.
And would you mind if Tim came up and gave us an update on that, on M1?
I wouldn't mind at all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Just recently spoke with MoDOT. They've got 2 projects that they're working on, one that's already been bid, and then one they hope to bid by May. The first part is an overlay of M1 from 72nd Street to 152. But the bigger one that impacts us is the reconstruction of M1 from 64th Street to 72nd Street. So over the next couple months, I expect that there's going to be lots more information coming out about that project, because as a full reconstruction, there's going to be lots of impacts. In addition to that reconstruction from 64th to 72nd, they're actually planning to overlay the remainder of M1 from, I believe, I-35 to 64th Street. So really working towards having all of M1 passable again, not soon enough, I should say, but just look for more information in the coming months as we work with MoDOT to get that out.
I was going to ask, I know it's not our project, but it goes straight through our city. And so when this all does start, if we could have some social media presence about it, laying out the information just so people can see it, I think it'll really help.
Isn't there already a website? put out a website about the project?
There is a website, and what I can do is I can work with Nikki, get that blasted out there again. And then I will make sure, I will check it out. I haven't checked it out in a couple weeks, but I'll get with MoDOT too and make sure that, or at least I shouldn't make sure, it's their project, but encourage them to get as much information, as much up-to-date information out there as they can.
Thank you, Tim. Next item, number 9, our consent agenda. Madam Clerk, please explain and read the consent agenda.
A consent agenda allows the city council to consider and approve routine items of business without discussion. Any member of the city council, the city staff, or the public may request removal of any item from the consent agenda and request that it be considered under the regular agenda if discussion or debate of the item is desired. Items not removed from the consent agenda will stand approved upon motion by any council member, second unanimous vote to approve the consent agenda as published or modified. Consent agenda, Resolution R-25-05, a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a professional services agreement with Sever Reed and Associates in the total amount not to exceed $24,000 for right-of-way appraisal services in conjunction with the downtown Gladstone North Oak Street Improvement Project TP2371. Consider monthly financial update December year-to-date 2024.
Does anyone from the audience, city council, or staff wish to remove any item from the consent agenda?
Mayor Spall?
Mayor Pro Tem Smith?
Move we approve the consent agenda as published.
Second.
Motion and a second has been made to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The consent agenda stands approved. Moving on to item 11. Recall number 10 was removed. First reading, bill number 25-05. An ordinance amending Schedule 8 of the Model Traffic Code, Gladstone Municipal Code, Section 4.100.020, to establish a stop sign location at the northeast corner of the intersection of Northeast 62nd Place and North Main Street.
Mayor Spall.
Councilman Davis.
I move to place bill number 25-05 on its first reading.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to place bill number 25-05 on its first reading. Is there any discussion? All in favor of placing bill number 25-05 on its first reading, state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Madam Clerk, please read the bill.
First reading bill number 25-05. An ordinance amending Schedule 8 of the Model Traffic Code, Gladstone Municipal Code, Section 4.100.020, to establish a stop sign location at the northeast corner of the intersection of Northeast 62nd Place and North Main Street.
Mayor Spall.
Councilman Davis.
I move to accept the first reading of bill number 25-05, waive the rule and place the bill on its second and final reading.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to accept the first reading of bill number 25-05, waive the rule, and place the bill on its second and final reading. Is there any discussion? All in favor of placing bill number 25-05 on its second and final reading, state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Madam Clerk, please read the bill.
Second reading bill number 25-05. An ordinance amending Schedule 8 of the Model Traffic Code, Gladstone Municipal Code, Section 4.100.020, to establish a stop sign location at the northeast corner of the intersection of Northeast 62nd Place and North Main Street.
Mayor Spall.
Councilman Davis.
I move to accept the second and final reading of bill number 25-5 and enact the bill as ordinance 4.690.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to accept the second and final reading of bill number 25-05 and enact the bill as ordinance 4.691. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Davis.
Aye.
Councilman Garnos.
Aye.
Councilmember Moore.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Smith.
Aye.
Mayor Spallo.
Aye. Bill number 25-05 stands enacted as ordinance number 4.691. Zero. Yeah, we have to go backwards. 4.690. Thank you. Item number 12, Resolution R-25-06. A resolution authorizing the city manager to purchase one 2026 Chevrolet G4500 ambulance chassis from American Response Vehicles and to remount an ambulance body module onto the chassis with specified equipment for the total of $179,450.59.
Mr. Swallow.
Mayor Pro Tem Smith.
Move to approve resolution R-25-06.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution R-25-06 stands approved. Item number 13, Resolution 25-07. A resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a contract with Fleshman Construction Incorporated in the total amount not to exceed $662,815.34 for the Northeast 76th Terrace Storm Drainage and Parking Improvements, Project CP2531.
Mayor Spallo.
Councilman Garnos.
Move to adopt resolution R-25-07.
Second?
Is there any discussion? All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution R-25-07 stands approved. Item number 14, is there any other business to come in front of the city council tonight? Hearing none, we are adjourned.